Alright, I've taken it outside. I'm coming at y'all kind of crazy angled, but I like to keep these videos interesting. And the kiddos are playing hide and seek, so there was nowhere that was fair game for me to hide. Alright, so for today's training, I said yesterday that inviting was probably the most important thing you could do, but I think that was false, because what we're talking about today is really going to be the bread and butter of your business. It's going to be what allows you to help the most people. It's going to be what allows you to just produce the most profit, and that is following up with people. Okay, guys, most of the time people don't say yes the first time. If they're your warm market, meaning the people that you actually know in real life, your mom, your cousin, your hairdresser, like, they're more likely first time through to be like, okay. But if it's someone that you've just started talking to online or a newer friend, they're probably going to have to watch you and see what it is you're all about first before they say yes. That doesn't mean we don't invite though, because as soon as you invite someone, if they're interested, even if they say no, they're going to start watching you. They might never like anything, they might never comment on anything, but they're going to start watching you. So that's why that first invite, that planting of that seed is so important, even if they don't say yes right away. But following up is where it's at, because after those people have watched you, they may still not reach out, but if you circle back around to them, then it may be their time and they may be ready to go. So when it comes to following up, there's kind of two different levels with this. When we talked about inviting, if you're sending information out to people, I would suggest, writing that down. We're going to talk about tracking as well, but after a couple days, if they haven't replied back to you, you need to follow up with them and say, hey, just wanted to see if you've gotten a chance to look over that information. Like, are you interested? And just kind of further that conversation. Ask them if they have questions, if they have any reservations that you guys can talk about. But that's kind of your first level of follow-up, is talking to those people who said they have been interested. The second level is, let's say that they're just like, no, I'm not interested right now. They give you some kind of reason why. Great. Wish them the best. Keep having conversations with them. We don't want this to look like, oh, you didn't want my stuff, we're done. Keep having conversations. And then I run a new group every single month. That's kind of a really good flow. That's what I would suggest you make your goal. Guys, next month might be a good time for them. So I'm going to have their name down that, hey, they weren't interested this month, or maybe they just tell you, like, we're doing this, this, and this. My life isn't going to be settled until November. Then you write down that you're going to follow up with them in November. But those are the people that tell you that they're interested, that you're going to go back to, you're going to follow up with, and you're going to keep inviting. And most of the time, especially further along in your business, those are the people who are going to give you the yes. So let's talk about tracking. Please, please, please don't try to remember all this in your brain, especially if you're in this to like really make changes in people's lives. You have to have a tracking system. I am still 2 years in a pen and paper girl. It's just convenient for me. It works really well. I can go kind of from a list. And guys, from 2 years ago, there are people in this book that I started talking to. Actually, I had a planner. This is probably like a year and a half. There are people who I just started conversations with that I need to invite, and people who told me they were interested. So that's what I track, because when I start a new combo or I have a new follower and the person actually replies back to me, I put their name here, and when it's coming up time for my next group, or sometimes I let like a month pass so they can kind of see what I'm doing before I invite them, but I just go straight through this list and invite them. The only reason I don't is if I haven't invited them before, or if our conversation only had like one back and forth and never kept going. But that reminds me, start back up the conversation, see if it goes anywhere. And then here I'm writing people that are interested. Right before the group starts, I'm double checking in with them to see if they're interested. If they say no, then guess where I'm going next month when my group starts? To this list first, because these people are interested then. They may still be interested now. Another thing I want you to think about doing is getting email addresses for people, as as well as writing their name down. So this works well for me because if I'm talking to someone, we're having a conversation and they say they're interested, I just screenshot our conversation, and then about once a week I'll sit down and I'll write down all those names, or if they're a new follower. So that way I don't have to stop what I'm doing. I can be working on the go. I just screenshot and then I just go back to my photos and look at all those. You can also flag messages on Instagram if you want to do it that way. But I want to suggest to you that you also start collecting people's email addresses, okay? So if someone tells you they're interested, be like, oh, that's great, that's awesome. Like, you can still send them information through Messenger, or, you know, if you're talking in real life, but get their email and send it through there too. For one, if they're really interested and want to carry through, you already have it for share a cart. But guys, down the line, inviting and sharing value via email is, one, a lot easier because you can blast something out to a lot of people at once, but two, there's less noise. Unfortunately, you're going to post stuff, you're going to do stories, and everybody you're talking to is not going to see it. But if you email them, there's a lot less noise there. People can choose to open that email. They see it's from you. And I've really been diving into learning more about email marketing to kind of use that in conjunction with my business. I really like having one-on-one conversations with people in Messenger, but consider that as you start out. My email list I have on my computer, so I can just type, copy, and paste, but you could totally write that down as well. So I want you to find a system to start tracking. If you're going to use email, some people use email like pretty much that's how they do all their conversations and inviting. They get people out of Facebook and Instagram and do strictly email. There's a great free program called Streak. It's an add-on to Gmail that a lot of coaches use. You can just type Beachbody Streak in YouTube and get a ton of great tutorials there. But what I want you to do is I want you to decide, what are you going to do to start tracking? Are you going to get a notebook and have pen and paper? Because when you're inviting these people, if they say, sure, I want more information, they immediately go in my interested column, whether or not they sign up that month, because I'm going to circle back and follow up with them later. So your homework, what are you going to use for your tracking system? A notebook? Are you going to do it online? You got yourself an Excel document? Let me know what you're using to get tracking and to follow up.